Okay, madam. Start ಆಯ್ತಮ್ಮ.
Kunati, your audio is mute, ma.
Audio unmute la போடுங்க குணவதிக்கு.
Good afternoon. A pleasant welcome to one and all present here. I am V. Gunavati from 2nd BSc Computer Science. Every moment is a fresh beginning. Let's start the event with prayer. Now I call Ms. Mohana Priya to sing the prayer song.
श्री महेश्वरी वासवी नगरीश्वरी परमेश्वरी कामितार्थमुलिच्छिद्रोममुकन्यका परमेश्वरी देवदेवी महेश्वरी जगदीश्वरी भुवनेश्वरी काववेममुयल्लवेनलकन्यका परमेश्वरी बालचन्द्रगिरीतदारिणि भव्यसुन्दररूपिणी वैश्यवंशयशोभिवर्धिनि कन्यका परमेश्वरी श्रीमहेश्वरी वासवी नगरीश्वरी परमेश्वरी.
Thank you, Mohana Priya. It is never too late to be who you might have been. Now I call Ms. Manasa from 1st MSc CS to give the introduction of our resource person, Dr. G. Ananthi ma'am.
Good afternoon all. A very welcome to one and all present here. I'm very glad to introduce our resource person of the day, Dr. G. Ananthi ma'am. Currently, she is working as an associate professor in University of People at California. She has completed her undergraduation in computer science and post-graduation in computer application at Madras University, awarded doctorate in computer science from Wales University. She has published a book on computer networks and around 40 papers in various international and Indian journals. She is serving as editorial review board member for 6 different international journals. Some of her recent professional activities are certification course in ethical hacking, data science, cyber securities and legal issues in guest speaker, webinar in MongoDB, and so on. She is currently teaching many courses such as network security, cyber security, ICT, project management, Python programming, and so on. We warmly welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manasa. Now I hand over the session to you, ma'am.
Ma'am, you can continue your session, ma'am.
Yeah. Sure. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. See, I think this is a new topic. Although we have in our curriculum like cybersecurity, other Python, so many different languages and new technologies which are coming up like machine learning, artificial intelligence, etc. But still, design thinking has its own place, although it is not technically completely digitized. But still, whenever we do a process, when we do a task or a work, we have to be really having some digital feature in that. We have to think in that way. So how to make a work more innovative and more digitized? So that is where your design thinking plays a role. See, although design thinking is not completely technical, but still we have to have some code of contacts for that. And not only the code of conduct, we also should know some principles and some basic process, how to make it more professional and how to do your work in a very basic, systematic and technological means. So that is why I just wanted to have an idea. First of all, I just wanted to insist that this is an interactive session. So before I start with, I can ask you what do you know about design thinking? Let us go into the content later on. I just wanted to spare a few minutes in order to understand what is design thinking in your own perspective. Can answer.
Process of solving problem, ma'am.
Okay. Any other inputs? Any other answer? Any other answer from anybody? Okay, it's not only the problem solving. Problem solving is a part of it, but still we have to do, as I told you, any task, any work which is being done should be done in a very systematic way. That is why design thinking plays a vital role. Okay, now let us go into the content. So as I told you, this is a repetitive process. It's an iterative process because you need to understand the alternatives, how to find out the solution in different means. How can you identify the solution with different ways? So you have to think in different dimensions. I request everybody to mute. So this is, as one of you mentioned, it is again used for solving the problem. So it is a solution-based approach. But again, this is very much helpful for the business people, because whenever a product is being launched, so before launching the product, how to make it more systematic, how to make it more professionalized. So that is the way we are going to see design thinking in that dimension. Now, whenever here I have mentioned about empathy. What is empathy? So empathy is one of the steps here which we are going to discuss in our session. So we need to have empathy for designing any particular product, and then only it reaches the target audience. Only then it will be full-fledged. So not only that, whenever a problem has been given, you all know that you have to first understand the problem. After understanding the problem only, you will be knowing what steps you have to undergo. And then not only that, once you identify the set of tasks which you need to know, which you need to do by understanding the problem, you also have to analyze it, because complete analysis gives you a very broad approach, and then you can proceed in that way. So these all will be the basic steps which you are going to see now. So before going to the process, these are some of the steps. As I told you, prototyping we are going to see about testing, we are going to see about brainstorming, all this. So these will come under the steps. Now, I think you're able to see the picture. What do you see here? You can see a tomato, a book, a cup, and a tray. So what is the design thinking? Design thinking basically allows you to take decision and to expand your thought. So how would you expand your thought? When you say tomato, tomato is nothing but a data. Let us see in our technical perspective. When you come for the technical perspective, tomato is nothing but a data. That is, I have just a tomato in my hand. But if you want to convert that data into information, information is what? It's meaningful data. So how would you do it? You're writing something about the tomato in the book. So that is converted into information, because you're giving surplus of knowledge to that data by converting it into information. You're giving some more additional information. So it becomes, that's the picture, or the original tomato turns into an information by means of a book wherein you're providing sufficient information. Now, in order to get knowledge, how do you segregate it? Is tomato a fruit or a vegetable? Some say that it's a vegetable, some say that it's a fruit, but still you cannot come to a conclusion whether it's a fruit or a vegetable. So that systematic approach of acquiring your knowledge is called as your knowledge gaining. That is where you segregate it, or you analyze it, whether it's a tomato, it is a fruit or a vegetable. So this is where comes your knowledge part. And after that, once you suppose, if you understand that it's a fruit, then you will not be using this in the fruit salad, right? So whether you have to use it in a fruit salad or not, how do you use it? What is how that becomes a recipient of your recipe, whatever it is, how it becomes an ingredient. So that is called as wisdom. So whenever you have a data, how you convert your data into information with more knowledge, and having surplus knowledge, how do you make it as a knowledge base? And from that, how do you gain wisdom? This is what is the entire process of design thinking. That is the basic approach. Now, coming for the importance of design thinking. Design thinking helps you in different ways. Of course, it helps. That is the primary one. That is why that point was put first. So it is used for problem solving. Not only that, it's a user experience. It gives you a proper career path. It creates values to the companies. Why? Because once the normal data is there, just don't leave the data as it is. You're just making it more improvised. You're fitting into your knowledge or the wisdom of thought into that. By designing it, you make it more improvised and more valuable. That is how it will be useful for the companies. And then here, if you have lack of creativity, that becomes a disadvantage. Why? Because creativity plays a major role in design thinking. Hence, you have to be more creative. And companies will contact the customers, or they will connect with the customers only if their approach or their idea of thinking is great, so that they can make it more colorful, more design oriented. And that only adds value to the company, right? So if there is lack of empathy, empathy is what? The enthusiasm, in short, you can call. So if that empathy is lacking, then that would obviously affect the sales. I think you must have seen the salesperson, what type of features they use. They will be having business tactics to sell a particular product. Because even if you think that you're not going to buy that particular product, they will somehow pressurize you indirectly to buy that particular product. That becomes their success. So empathy should never be lacking as far as sales is concerned. That is the basic idea over here. What does design thinking basically allow? So design thinking allows us, first of all, to identify the pain points and optimize the design. What do you mean by the pain points of the users? Who are the users here? The target users are the customers who are going to buy the product. See, I'm talking in terms of business as well as technical, because these two are connected in design thinking. That is a reason I'm just syncing up both the features. Now, when you say users' pain points, here the users are nothing but they are the consumers, the customers who are going to buy the product. So what is the pain point? Pain point here refers to the negative, frustrating, or annoying interactions that a customer will be having with respect to the brand. Suppose if a brand is not familiar, let me give you an example. Suppose if a brand is not familiar, a new soap comes into the market and you're telling them to buy that particular soap. What will they do? They will not just buy it. They have to go for a trial. So the salesperson have to go and study about that particular area. Who are the people? What sort of people are there? Whether they are lower level, are they educated, are they average? What is their income level and all that? So these all have to be studied. Hence, that is why I told the customers must be having some idea with the brand. Or suppose if it is not a new brand, if it is an old brand, a standard one which is already available in the market, they need not test it. They just go and buy it as it is. Why? Because it has a name in the market. Like you have, Lux, Dove, these kinds of soaps and all have got its own, reputation in the market. So they have gained fame. In that way, they need not check it out. Got it? And now there is a major challenge for the problem areas. Again, to tackle the problem areas, we need to have different categories of challenges. I was talking about the product. Now, when you go for the design issues, again, you have to make more improvised. You have to reformulate the entire design so as to be liked by the customers. So the consumers or the customers are the main asset. So they have to really like the product and they have to go for it. So that's the main intention, right? So these all will be given by design thinking because we are trying to make it more improvised, more liked by other people. All right. So the design, we are formulating it, and you're identifying the mindset of the people. You're finding out what are the pain points of the user. I told you what are the pain points. These are the negative points, are the frustrating or annoying features of a customer for liking or disliking a brand. So even if a customer dislikes the brand, you try to make that person liking your brand. That is the success, right? So now I just gave a brief idea about what is design thinking. How is this design thinking used in different areas? So banking is the major sector where design thinking is at its peak or in a popular version. So when you see that, especially in bank, I'm just giving two examples. One is about the Barclays Bank, which is a UK-based bank. This is the first bank which introduced the ATM and the credit card system. And how do they do this design thinking? They try to connect with the customers by identifying their needs. They are not just serving only with their process which they have with them. Instead of that, they try to analyze, they try to study what is the mindset of their customers, what is their expectation. According to the expectation, they try to fulfill the customer's expectation, and that is how that bank has been successful. And as I told you, they are the first bank to introduce the ATM and the credit card facility. And there is one other bank, which is South African's bank, which is Time Bank. This is the first digital bank, and it doesn't have any branches. So they have a central banking system which is put in the cloud. So whenever any particular customer's details can be immediately retrieved with the help of the cloud system. So they have each and every information, nook and corner information about that particular customer. So any customer's details can be retrieved easily. So this bank also has got a cost savings for the clients. So they try to serve the clients in a very better way so that people are attracted to have account in that particular bank. So here, not only that, the Time Bank has also got a bank account where they can just open the account within 5 minutes without any documentation. They don't need to give any proof or anything else, and nobody has to recommend. So they have a very short process wherein everything is digitized. They personally check. So in the cloud, as all the details of the customer is available, once they give the details like their address and their communication, contact number, etc., they can easily go and verify or retrieve the details of that particular customer from the bank cloud system, and then they can easily open the account without any documentation. And not only that, they also have, the Time Bank also has got a system called as Smart Shopper members. Through this system, they will have the Pick and Pay awards, by the help of which they can go for the shopping. Smart shopping points are available. In those points, they can just go and swipe their card, and the purchase becomes very easy. And not only that, see, of course, we go everywhere and we swipe our card, but that is not the system they are using here. They have a peculiar card which is issued only for those customers, and that is how they can buy that. So that is an easy way out. So that's about banking. Not only in the area of banking, even in different sectors, design thinking has played a major role. So this is another example, which is called as the Hippo Roller, which is a water collection system. This is used in South Africa, basically. So this gives a very simple solution in order to assist the people to collect water. Normally, what they have to do, they have to carry water either in their hip or at the head, and they have to go. And this system has been removed with the help of this Hippo Roller system, which will be rolled on the ground. It contains about 90 liters it can accommodate. So that's the overall capacity. So instead of carrying the water in a bucket or anywhere else, this will hold 5 times more than what we take in the bucket. So that is a huge water collection system, which is again an example of design thinking. And there is one other example, which is your Oral-B. I think all will be familiar with this Oral-B toothbrush. So they have launched it in 2016, and they wanted to produce the electric toothbrush with hi-fi features. They also have a music player so that they can enjoy the music while they are brushing. And not only that, they also have the added features like They have the loyalty program of the customers. Whoever is a long time customer, they will be given some rewards, and they will see that what is the outstanding product. So this was the first electric toothbrush, which will do the brushing by its own. We need not, take risk. So that is about Oral-B. This is one other example of design thinking, which is Good Kitchen. This is again, this was especially, designed for the elderly citizens in Denmark. So this is actually a system which is for the government. This is a government-owned one. The government-sponsored meals will be given with the help of this. So this has the flexibility, especially for the elderly people, so that the chefs and the other employees of the Good Kitchen, they will do the cooking and they will deliver the meals at their doorstep at a very easy way. And this is profit-free. They don't owe profit for that. Without any profit, they do it. And I think you will be familiar with this Uber Eats. Uber Eats is, again, they are following a very sophisticated technology for the meal system. So they have a program called as Walkabout program. So they'll have transportation, they have the delivery system, they have the restaurant, everything for the entire food culture. So they will be doing all their products with testing. So they have a rapid testing, and they also try to identify what is the expectation of the consumers. That is the people who are going to buy the food, right? So the restaurant workers and the drivers, they all will be very much flexible to go and serve the people. And not only that, they are also working on some workshops. Why? Because to enhance some improvements, how to make it more customer oriented, right? So that is the main theme of that. Now, after seeing different examples, I think you must have got a better idea about what is design thinking rather than the definition. Now we are going to see the major principles of design thinking. We rely on 4 important principles. First is about the human rule. What is the human rule? This is nothing but you have some innovation. See, whenever you are given something, human normally what they do, they will have some point of view in their mind. So that is called as human-centric point of view. This human rule, this will basically tell what that product is about. But we are not designing, we are just thinking. We are motivating our ideas. We are coming up with different ideas. That is the first rule, which is totally human oriented. The second one is the ambiguity rule. I think all of you know the little meaning of ambiguity. Ambiguity, actually, you cannot simplify it because you don't have certain limitations. So you are going to see how crucial it is and how to make it in a different way. You should totally make it different. So how can you make it? So that is your ambiguity rule. And the third one is redesign rule. This is where this particular step is where you're trying to come up with new design technologies, new designing features. So here we are going to see what are the things that needs to be unchanged. Human needs will never be changed because it's static. This is what is the expectation of the human? Yes, it is. It will not get changed. And how are you going to see what is the desired outcome? How can you reach it? Suppose a basic design is available. Some other person who is joining as a new employee, he will have more innovation. He will have more thought process. So what he does, he will redesign it. So after redesigning, is it successful? Is it yielding the same result? So that is what we are going to see. So that's about the redesign rule. And the tangibility rule, tangibility, I think you all know what is tangible and intangible. So here you're going to see the prototypes. Here is where we create a prototype and see that the designers will communicate with the help of the prototype more effectively. That means they will get a better idea once they have this prototype. So prototype plays a vital role in the tangibility rule. So these are the 4 basic principles of design thinking. Once you get an understanding about design thinking, now with these principles, what are the important features of this principle? It is first is about people-centeredness. What is this? This is people-oriented. They totally rely on the mindset of the people. What is the idea of that particular person? How are you going to design it according to their expectation level? So that is people-centeredness. So in order to be more specific, people-centeredness is nothing but it is making the user's life better. So all the stakeholders will be a part of this. They will take part. It's all about how people feel when they use a product or a service, right? And users experience. As I told you, a salesperson, before just selling that particular commodity to the users, what they do, they just go and have a statistical analysis. They try to study what is the people's mindset, what is their level, what is the level of income, whether they are average class, below average class, or high class society. Depending upon the user's mindset, they try to design it, any particular product, right? And once they have the idea, accordingly, the goal has to be set. You should not have a different goal and your product should not be something else. It has to synchronize with each other, all right? And accordingly, the planning has to go with. And here, when you talk about design thinking, it is between the users, computer, and the products. Either it can be a computer-based product or any other product. So whatever may be the product range, you have to go with more innovative idea and design so as to make the product more innovative. And here, if your reframing is not properly defined, then it becomes a failure. So that should not be our motive. Hence, you also have to have a hands-on experience, especially with prototyping and testing. Once we are going with those two steps, we can be more clear on that. I can elaborate to that time. And not only that, it will also revolutionize the approach to anything. So whatever may be the product, according to its perspective, you can change your mindset and you can work on that. See, different products will have different challenges. So according to that, you can make the design of your work. Now, the same design thinking principles, I have made it in a diagram. See, again, here also design thinking plays a role. I have given in points in the previous slide. So rather than going through the points, seeing each and every point, if I make it in a diagram, it will reach my audience very clearly. That is the reason I have made it as a diagram. So this is again a different approach. So this the same point I have put here, like the earlier slide, but I have put in a pictorial way. So it is to understand people, what they want, and depending upon that, you have some hands-on experience and you see whether it's an unknown problem or it is not defined one. So these all are interconnected. And again, how would you integrate all this? As I told you, it's the people need, whatever is the expectation of the people, plus the technological features. These two added together will give a success in the business. So business success is basically estimated with the people's requirement or need, plus your technology embedded in that. Only then you will get the success in business. Now, we are just going to see the overview of the thinking process on the whole. So you have to first of all find the root pain points. I hope you remember what I told about pain points. These are the negative, frustrating, or annoying interactions of the customer. So that negative points are called as your pain points. So first of all, you need to understand, you need to observe the user and you need to understand what are their pain points. Once you understand the pain points, then you can find out how you can solve them. So once you understand, understanding is that is the problem. First one is understanding the user. So what is the problem? You try to understand by observing the user. And once you understand what are their pain points, then you go for documenting them. How would you make those pain points into a effective point? So that is where you're going to go with the user experience map, which will be the step, one of the step in the design thinking process. And after doing that, you make, this is an overview I'm just giving. We are going to go elaborately into each and every step of design thinking. You create the personas. Personas is nothing but about any individual customer, you get the details, almost all the details. And then you will come up with different ideas. Once you get the idea, you can reach to the solution very easily. And before going for the original product, normally we go for a paper prototype, right? So prototype will be made, and then you will go with the solution with your effort, and then finally you will go with an implementation plan, because your product is designed. Once it is designed, you will not keep it with yourself. You will go for the implementation plan, how it will be accepted by the customers, whether they welcome that product or not. Got it? That is the overview. Now we are going to see about the entire design thinking process. So these are the 5 steps of the process. So first you have to empathize. I hope all of you know what is empathizing. So empathizing actually includes certain things. That is, how would you understand the problem? First of all, you need to understand the problem. Some problem has been given to you. If you do not know what that problem meant, then how will you know what it is? So first of all, you need to understand the problem. And after understanding, you have to collect the ideas of others. What is their point of view? You cannot go only with your point of view. Even if you are a project team leader, then you have to understand from your team, what is their expectation? What do they say? So you have to collect the points. After getting the collective points only, you can proceed across, right? So empathizing is understanding the problem, getting the people's view. Second one, after empathizing, you go for defining. Once you define, you have already have the problem understood. So you try to frame up certain steps to solve that particular problem. You will get some idea. This is how I have to go with. So normally when we write the code, initially what we do, this is a systematic process, but we don't do it, unfortunately. We directly go and write the code, but we don't, that is not the right approach. You have to frame an algorithm, then you go with a flow chart, and then you come with the program code, right? So that is a systematic approach. Hence, defining is after understanding, you're going to have a right path. How do I solve it? What are the steps undertaken in order to solve that? And that's again, you have to understand the need of the customer, because you already have the people's point of view, and from that you understand the need, and accordingly you will go to satisfy the needs. So once you empathize and define, then you go for ideate. Ideate is nothing but the idea. How do you get the idea? First, you must be having some concepts in mind. So that concepts has to be generated. And then you have to see whether the generated concept is going to satisfy the customer or not. And then you're going to also get some other, apart from the initial idea, you will try to get some other best ideas, which will be welcomed by the team members, right? From the team members. Now, coming for the 4th step, it is prototype and test. You can either call prototype as the 4th step and testing as the 5th step, or it can be together, right? So once you're getting the assumptions, now you're going to get the opinion. Normally, opinion poll will be there. I think you must have come across this word opinion poll. So you try to get the opinion with the help of decision making. And you can easily analyze what is the behavior of that particular customer. So once you understand what is the mindset of the customer, accordingly, you can redesign it, or you can launch the product in that particular way. And finally, how do you implement it? Now you have come to a stage where your project is successful. Now you're going to see how to make it more agile, because the maintenance is very important. So you have to adapt to the changes during the course of time, maybe after 2 years, after 5 years, with minor changes that has to be accepted. You should not go for complete change of that particular process, whatever you have done. So this is what is the set of steps which you're going to see. Now, the same one, again, to understand in a better way, I have made as a visual representation. First, you have to observe the user, find out their pain points, and with the help of the experience map, you can easily have a clear idea about the pain points. And after that, you create the personas, and then you try to get different ideas for one solution. In order to reach to one particular solution, I cannot have one idea and reach to that solution. I must have multiple ideas, 5 ideas, 10 ideas, unlimited number of ideas, any number of ideas, depending upon the work which you are taking, because some task will have only 2-3 ideas to reach to the solution, whereas some will be having multiple ideas. So you are going to have different ideas in order to reach for a successful solution. You're going to check and see whether the prototype which has been created, which is a part of your step to reach your goal, whether that prototype is effective or not. And then finally, you have to go for the testing, because testing is one of the important process which we do as far as digital technology is concerned. So even for anything, you go for testing. I think in software engineering and all, you must have done black box, white box testing. There are different unit testing, different categories of testing, right? So after done with this particular step, your process gets completed. Again, for the second task, you go with the same process. It's a cyclic process. It repeats for each and every product or the project which you're going to undertake. Now, as I told you, these are the 5 things in the design thinking process. So first you say empathize. As I told you, you have to understand what is the expectation of the customer or the user. So for that, what do you do? In order to do this empathize process or make it successful, you have to get the feedback. You have to fill up the persona of the person. Because once you get the detail of the person, then the feedback will be more valued. And then empathy map is also a supporting process which would make this more systematic. Define. Now coming for define, you're going to have a proper objective, because for any task, you need to know what is the goal. You have to work towards that goal. So you need to have a clear perspective, clear idea about what is your objective. So for that, you have to have a context map, customer journey map, and opportunity map, which you're going to discuss in detail. And third step is about idea. As I told you, you have to get different ideas. You have to come up with different categories of ideas, and then you will reach to an appropriate solution, which will be more successful. So again, for that generating of idea, you have got different methods. And the fourth one is about prototype. As I told you, prototype and test can come together, or sometimes you can segregate it. Earlier I told you. So prototype is the different way how you visualize the things. When I go with prototype, I'll give you more important examples so that it will be more easy to understand. Now testing, again, it's the user's feedback. And how do you evaluate your prototype? How it becomes successful? How you're converting that prototype into the original one. Now, we are entering into the first step of the process, which is empathy. Empathize, I told you. So empathy is nothing but you're going to observe the user and see what are their pain points. Here in this small diagram, I think you're able to see, this is the designer, this is the user. The empathy will be a part of the designer as well as the user. Because as a designer, only if I am empathized, the user is like just sitting like waste. It is of no use. The user also should have equal empathy towards that particular product. So here, for this step, what do? You have to observe. You have to interview at least 8 individuals. With one person, once you go and interview only one person, you cannot really identify the mindset of the people. So you need to actually observe many participants and find their root points. That is why the number has been given, at least 8 individuals to get a better idea. And then once you understand the pain points, they will really come out with their innermost feelings. They will say, innermost feelings are your empathy, all right? So they will say what is their expectation, what are their needs and all that. Once you understand what is the user's need, then by observing them and by talking to them, you will get a better idea and you will get knowledge to go for the next step. Now, in the first step, we are still in the first step. Here, as I told you, for empathy, in order to create the empathy, you should have an empathy map. What is this? This is the map which is created on the organization, not for the individual. So you have to create a empathy map. For the empathy map, whatever is your task, you have to first define the scope. What is your scope? Any particular task taken, anything which is taken should have a scope and a goal. Even we, as a student, you all must be having some goals. This is my objective. I want to become so-and-so. So, and you work towards that goal. You will never get diverged. So that is what is your scope. And gathering materials is another important step. What is this? You have to create an empathy map, because once you know the goal, what are the successful points in order to reach to that specific goal? That is gathering materials. See, if I think that I want to become a collector, IAS collector, I work towards that. I will go and write those particular exams. I will see that, whatever I'm good in, proficient in, that particular area, I choose the topic and I go towards that. This is a day-to-day example for you to make things more, easy. I'm just telling you out. So then you collect research. Again, gathering materials is also a part of the research. You try to gather as many contents as possible, right? And then for that, in order not to forget anything, you create a sticky note. You write small notes, hints, and keep it ready, which will be used for the future. So generating sticky notes is very, very important step, not only for this empathy map, even in your day-to-day process. Students, I tell you, BSc, MSc students, whoever are they, see, they have to always create a sticky notes, not only for the exam point of view, even in your life, in order to achieve a goal, right? And then you have to converge that sticky notes, which are in cluster, and synthesize it so that it gets a proper shape. And then you have to polish and plan. Only by sticky notes are just converging all that will not work out. Finally, how would you take the steps to reach to that success point? Although you take baby steps, but still with that also you will be able to reach to the final point. That is the acquiring point. So that's how you create the empathy map. So the first step of empathy, I hope you understood. Empathizing constitutes with the empathy map. Now we go for the second step, which is define. Already I told you, define is nothing but you already found out the pain points. Now, once you observe the user and get the pain points of the user, you're going to map those pain points and make it into a user experience map. You're converting the pain points into a user experience map. That is, the empathy map is converted into a user experience map, because you already found out the pain points in the earlier step. Now you're going to prioritize those pain points, because some will be having more pain points, some will have very less, which can be ignored. Ignorable pain points will not be taken into consideration, or it would be in the least priority. The most priority will be given to the higher pain points. And then you go for dot voting. We are going to see about that. And then you will set the goals and create the personas. So let us see about all the steps in detail in define. Now, first thing was mapping out the pain points. What do you do for this? That is your experience map. So you will try to extract the pain points of the user, map them on a user experience map. So for that, what you do, don't think map means it's something you draw. I'll just elaborate you. So experience map here is nothing but you just make small sticky notes and you can paste it on the wall. Even for your exam dates or the timetable every day, what you have to follow, you will make a small chart and paste it in the wall, right? The same way, the sticky notes would be useful. And here, all the team members will be participating in this observation phase, because everybody will be observing the customer, finding out the pain points, because I may observe a different pain point and negative point from a customer. You may observe something else, because we are thinking in different dimensions. Everybody's thinking will not be the same. That is why all the team members will be a part of it, and they will have a observation phase and they will make their own notes. So when the sticky notes are made, you will have n number of sticky notes which are pasted on the wall, and those all has to be consolidated later. So the experience map will be telling you from the beginning to the end of the journey for that particular product or service, that is for the user, how many number of pain points you have collected. What is your idea on that? What is your perspective? So from those all sticky notes, 100, 200 sticky notes, whatever it is, depending upon the team member size, you will create an experience map. So all this contents will be, bits and pieces will be collected and made as an experience map. So what is this user experience map? So in the earlier slide, I told you what are the steps in the user journey. So the team members will note their observations, right? And for each and every theme. So team will become the heading, and whatever points, whatever observations the team members have gathered, that would be summarized, right? And then they will also add some emotional states. Emotions will also be added to that. So that is how the map would be created. Now, once you get this map, user experience map, now you're going to prioritize the pain points. So you're going to find out which is having more pain points, which particular user has more pain points. They will be prioritized and they will be going for dot voting. What do you mean by dot voting? This is nothing but when you have more number of participants in your team, every person will be given 4 to 5 dots, individual dots at different places. Just imagine a paper and you have 4 to 5 dots. Just the dots will be made. You do not know what that dot stands for. So the important root points will receive the dots. You will ask them to make a dot for important pain points, because if it is a higher, suppose one particular team member is going to observe 5 customers. He will just see what is that particular customer, what is his pain point, and then he will put a dot according to that. Understood? So like this, every participant, that is every team member, they are the participants. So they will be assigned with some dots, and from observing the users, every participant will be having the dots. Some will have none of the dots because they will be having least priority. They don't have much pain points. If the pain point increases, the number of dots obviously will get increased. Got it? So by counting all these dots at the end, you will be identifying which are the most important pain points. Got it? Now, how would you set the goal? These are some of the examples of setting the goal. All the goals will be, all the pain points will be converted into goals. Pain points are the negative things. So those negative points you're converting into a positive means by giving it a name called goal. So pain point is, again, I've given 2 examples. Suppose a user cannot find their friend because he has some sorrow. He has something negative to share with him, but he couldn't find him. So what is the goal? You're going to find a location finder with the help of which you will locate that particular friend. Because even you might have some childhood friends who will be really helpful to you, but you're not in contact with them. You try to gather their details from somebody, from some young person, and you try to reach that particular person and you share. Because you feel that they are very close to your heart and you share with them. So this is the pain point and that is the goal. You try to find out where they are and you try to share with them. And the next pain point is, suppose if the user feels their friends are not with them to share the experience, they will be having some, see if they are not with them. Suppose if somebody, you cannot even connect with them or they are no more. So what do? You will think of their stories or you will share it with them in front of their photo. Because by that you will feel a little satisfied. You feel that as though you're talking to them. So that's again the goal. I hope you understand. These are the examples. Now, we were talking about creating personas. We are still in the second step. So during this step, what you do, personas are nothing but they are the people. So you should include the name, the goals, what are their codes. So you have different things to go with that. So you have to identify only 2 or 3 personas, not everything. But when I give an example, you can see that first you have to know the name of the person, what gender, what is this age, tagline. Everybody will be having some tagline. What is their job? What is their technology competence? That is, in which level they are. Technically, how they are. What is their main job? In which particular area they are working on? What is their goal? And what is their concern? So these all will be some of the points for the persona creation. But it is not necessary that all these points has to be a part of persona. As I told you, only 2 to 3 personas can be taken amongst this. Name is essential. Gender, age is not very important. You can take goal, name and goal. So like this, you can pick out any 2 or 3 personas, and that is how you can create the persona for a particular person. After creating a persona, you can understand what is that particular person. You will at least get to know what that person is. So here, after finding out, now you're going to define the project and the business objectives. Now, for a project, first you should know the problem statement. So you have to see what is the issue, how you can address that issue. Once you know the problem, you can identify the gap. What is your goal and what is the problem? From the problem, in order to reach to the goal, how would you reach? The gap between the problem and the goal would be reached with certain steps which you undertake. And how are those steps? Are they positive? Are they going to lead you towards the proper way? So this is how you are going to make your problem statement. Then you will design the team. Once the problem is ready, the team will be allocated. So they will be given the user-centered solution. That is point of view. Every person in the team will be giving their own point of view towards the problem, and then you will come up with some way to the solution. Not exactly the solution, because you have to go a long way in order to reach the solution. So at least you will get some way to reach the solution. Now, in the same step, define here, I am just going to see what are the requirements. I told you in the previous slide about the problem statement. How do you go with the problem statement? First, you have to think, what are the things I require for my problem? And you need to explain the problem. You're not explaining the problem. It is a self-explanation. You try to understand. And after you are getting a clear idea about the problem, what would be the cost received for that particular problem? How much do I incur to spend? And what are the claims for that? And what will be the proposed solution? Once you understand the problem, once you know the budget plays a vital role. Once you know the cost, then you will propose a solution for that. And every solution that is proposed will not be 100% successful. As I told you, you will have a number of solutions, and from that you will pick out certain solutions, certain steps for the solution, which will be materialistic. All will not be materialistic. And you will try to find the benefits of that solution. That is how you summarize your problem and solution so that you will get a final solution. Now, how do you craft a problem statement? I was talking about a problem statement. So you are going to think on a verb. That is, what is a verb? You're going to just think, how can I encourage? How can I give support? How can I empower myself? Because you're a team member. So as a team member, what will be my role? What sort of work should I do? And then you need to identify what is the primary user. See, as an individual, maybe, and that's why I've given some examples. These are different categories of individuals. So in which category do I belong to? That is, you are going to analyze yourself and realize who you are, self-realization. And then you articulate the problem. How are you going to address that particular problem? In which dimension are you addressing that problem? So what is the behavioral level of that problem? How do I take it? What is my area of expertise? What is my perspective towards the problem? All right. So this is a particular example of how to make a problem statement. Now, this is again an example of creating a problem. See, suppose the user thinks that he is living in a city. What is his need? He wants to move around. He wants to go for a trip. So around 1 to 4 times for 10 to 16 minutes, he has to go for a drive. So if he thinks that, first of all, he needs to think whether he is affordable to buy a car. Or if he cannot, will it be too expensive for him? If it is too expensive, he wants to share a car with somebody else. He wants to go for carpooling. Or he will try to just make it a car for rent a car, only to satisfy his trip. So one has to realize whether it is necessary for me. I hope with this example, it will be easy for you to understand whether is this necessary for me to buy a car, because I am not a frequent user. Only for certain trips, I require a car. So if I require call only for certain, trip, not always. So why can't I have a rent a car or share car with some of my friends and satisfy my needs. Why should I go for buying a car? So that becomes a question mark. He has to think and he has to come for the solution, right? So that's about the problem statement. And again, in define, as I told you, there is one other map which is called as opportunity map. Opportunity map, this will deepen the understanding. It will more grasp the understanding, find out what are the opportunities. So you will understand whether you can access your opportunity with the help of the existing opportunities. So this is how this opportunity map will look like. So suppose if you want to improve the distribution, how are you going to make it more generalized? And if you are a businessman, if you're going to grow, increase your share, how could you make it? If you're going to invest somewhere, how would you make a minimized investment? So these are some areas. Just for a glimpse, I have given this. So this is nothing to explain more about. Anyway, I think these slides will be available. You can have a look on it later on. So again, earlier what we saw, what was the previous one? It was the opportunity mapping. Here you have customer journey map. When I was elaborating about this defined process, we saw about different mappings, right? So customer journey mapping is nothing but how would you create a customer journey map? That is the story of the customer. How would he interact with the brand? How, that is, you're going to go into the customer's view. Customer's shoes is nothing but you're going to think as though you're a customer. Okay, you're going to replicate a customer. In the customer's viewpoint, you're thinking. All right. So here, these are the steps you have to discover. You have to find which will be the best option to meet your needs. You're going to compare it with some other products. Even if you buy a small soap, shoes, dress materials, you try to compare in different shops, right? That is the human mindset. And after comparing, you try to consider, and then you go for commitment. You take the same example. Discover. See, first I will discover what sort of suit, dress I want to purchase. Once I know that, yes, I'm going to go for a salwar. Then I will see different shops which have the kurtis. And then after that, I will go and consider this particular shop. Okay, this is the branded one. Then I commit myself to that particular shop. Yes, I'm going to buy from there. And then I'm going to retail. So after that, even if somebody else says that, why can't you go for another shop? Why don't you go for a different model? You will not really change your mind. You will retain in that. So these are the steps. That's why I told you a simple example. That is how the customer journey map will be enhanced. So we are done with 2 steps, empathize and define. Now comes the third step, idea. That is, how would you create the idea? Creating an idea, again, you have to find out the pain points. Even in the first step, we were seeing the pain points. In the second step, also, we saw the pain points. Now also, you're going to address the pain points. And from that, you will try to get multiple solutions. So how would you do it? Again, there will be a group. So multiple solutions will be created not from one team member. Again, you will have group members participating in this. All right. So every individual will have a different idea and then they will share it with the group. That is how they do it. After it has been shared, they go for the reality check. How do they do this reality check? So they will be putting all the points in the storyboard. Storyboard is nothing but a plain board where every individual will come and write their ideas. And after that, finally, there will be a reality check and you will try to ask yourself, not only the team leader, as a team member, you yourself can ask the questions. Are all these ideas feasible? Will it be useful? Can they solve the issue? How far they could do it, right? How will this look in reality? If I am going to materialize it, how will it be useful, right? So these all will be taken. Now coming for the ideation techniques, you have got 4 to 5 different techniques. I think brainstorm is one of the most important technique which we all are used to. What is this? You will have groups like debates. So you just put up a question and try to collect idea from different people. Everybody, every participant will be a part of that. So they will try to come up with their points. Got it? So that is brainstorming session, we say. right? Next is brain dump. Brain dump will be similar to brainstorming, but it's done individually. We are not in an open forum, we are not discussing like brainstorm. In brain dump, what you do, everybody's ideas will be written in a small note, post-it note, and they will share it with the group later on. A small chit will be written and every individual will hand over that. Third one is brain write. Brain write is also similar to your brainstorming. Here the participants will write in the paper, but not afterwards. They will not share it afterwards. In the group, lively in the group itself, they will share it. So all the participants, see, first participant is writing something. Second participant will try, whoever gets that particular chit, he will try to elaborate. He will put up his own ideas on that point and he will pass it on to the second one, third one. Third one will still elaborate that idea, make it more materialistic and give to the fourth one. Likewise, it moves on. So when this paper chit of creating the idea moves on inside throughout the team members, after a few minutes, again, the participants will pass their papers to somebody else and this process will be continuing. So after 15 minutes, all the papers will be collected and they will be put up for discussion. All the points will be discussed. Brain walk is also similar to that. Instead of passing the paper, participants will walk around in the room and they will find out. See, when you see something, when you see a table, when you see a book, you will come up with some ideas if it is related to your task. So by seeing the things around, things are your ideation stations. With that, they will come up with more elaborate ideas, right? I hope you understood about brainstorm, brain dump, brain write, and brain walk. So these are the 4 ideation techniques. Apart from this 4, these are the main techniques. You also have 2 more techniques. One is the worst possible idea. Normally, what do you say? See, whenever we go for a brainstorming session, we will feel that, see, does somebody else think that my idea is bad? Normally, we have that, thing in mind and we never speak out. Will somebody tease me if I tell this idea? Is it okay to tell this in the open forum? So like this. So here, you need not worry about this because they don't welcome only the good ideas. Even the worst ideas will be taken and then that will be considered and that worst idea will be converted into the best idea. So that is the whole point in this. Next is challenging the assumptions. So you're going to ask some questions, see that what is the product, what is their services, how do they go for the innovative situation, and they try to challenge. Will it be possible? You're just challenging it. So these are 2 other ideation techniques apart from the 4 discussed earlier. Now coming for the brainstorming method is the most widely and vitally used method because for designing the problem, this is one of the best methods because it will pop up with new ideas and with the help of which we can reach to successful and potential solutions. And coming for the brainstorming rules, what are the main rules? You have to focus on quantity. Because brainstorming, once you get only one person is answering, that will never become a brainstorming session. You try to welcome with more and more ideas. So you're focusing only on quantity, how many people are answering, and withhold the criticism. That is, negativity has no place in the brainstorming session. As I told you earlier, nobody should have an inner feeling that, will it be right? Can I speak out? So negativity has no place. Anybody can speak out and give their own idea. And unusual ideas will be welcome. That is, new ideas which nobody has ever thought of. So those ideas will be really having a very good welcome, right? And you are going to combine all those ideas and try to improve the ideas. This is a feature of idea, that is brainstorming example in a mind map form. By seeing this, what do you understand? Something is written on the board, all right? So this is a graphical technique where the participants will be having a web of relationships. I'll give you a simple example here. See, suppose you must have watched films where the police is trying to find out a crime case. So what do they write there? Often in those movies, you must have seen that the police higher official or the person who is in charge of that particular case, that person will be writing something on the board. He will have so many, here and there, they will write something about a person name, about some evidence. He will write and he will try to connect all of them. How all those are connected in that particular case. That is how they try to find out the criminal. But initially, when you see what they write on that whiteboard, you will not get an idea why they are writing something jumbled. What is that? We cannot understand. But by joining all those, you will just get an idea how to find a criminal. Excuse me. So this is about your mind mapping. I hope you understood with this example. See, here it's a mobile review. What are the affordances? What are the trends, mobile trends? Who are the inhabitants? What is the time? So many things are written. And finally, they combine all of them for creating a mobile. The mobile companies, for their review, this is how they go for the mind map. Now, for ideation, not only the mind map, they also use the brainstorming technique, which is called as the scamper technique. Substitute, combine, adapt, modify, purpose, eliminate, and rearrange. So I've given a picture for the scamper technique. I hope you're able to see this. So you start with substitute. So you're going to see, especially with the mobile companies, if a mobile has been launched, how are they going to substitute that mobile with a new version, right? So when they are going to change, because this particular model is no more under existence, you're trying to bring an alternate. When you're trying to bring an alternate, that is called a substitute. When you substitute it, what are you going to do? You're going to combine the features of the older model with that of the new model. You try to make it more improvised, or you combine some features which are good in old technique to the new one, right? And after combining it, you try to adapt. That means the new mobile version has to withstand that old as well as the new technique. Only then it can be surviving in the market. Otherwise, it cannot sustain. And then you try to modify. Earlier, what was the version which was available? How do you try to modify? What extra features you are bringing in them in that particular model? And what is the purpose? Does it really solve the purpose of the customers? Before launching that model into the market, you have to go for a review, for a study, right? So that is the purpose. And you try to eliminate the, what are you trying to eliminate? The drawbacks, the flaws, whatever were the flaws in the earlier model, you try to minimize that or try to completely eliminate and bring up a new version which will be succumbent to all of them. And you try to rearrange, reverse. Sometimes if the older one is not of much use, you try to completely change your process. What about it? So this is about the scamper technique. And we move into the fourth step now, which is a prototype. So all of you must have got an idea about what a prototype is. Prototype, I can tell two different examples. See, whenever you're going to an architect for building a house, they create a small model of a mall, of a temple. If they are going for a huge project, before they launch that particular project, that will be kept on the entrance in the old building. So once you go into the entrance, you will see a small, model which is kept on the table. This is how it is going to be. That you call it as a prototype, right? And sometimes you have blueprint. I think all of you know about blueprint. Blueprint is also a prototype, which is a paper prototype. And model, a small model, which I told you, that is again a prototype, which is not a paper prototype, it's a normal prototype. So you have different prototypes. So a paper prototype is nothing but it will tell you it is a mock-up. It is a model of what needs to be developed and what needs to be improved. So here again, you're going to explore, find out what are the pain points of the users, and then you're coming up with the solution, the better idea, so that the pain points will be converted into the right points, right? So now coming for the paper prototype, you're again going to see what is the positive path. How can you make your paper prototype very realistic? So first, once you make the paper prototype, how are you transforming that paper prototype into the original one? To convert it, you go with the high level storyboard. So in order to get more idea, I have given a link here. So if you want to go in detail and study about this paper prototype, you can go to this link, YouTube link. And this is about what is prototyping. I think engineers and testers, user testers, normally they go for this prototyping method. I hope you got the idea about what a prototype is. So they will not freeze the requirements. Either it's a design or code, whatever it is, they will just make a prototype which will be understandable by the users, so that the client who is an end user, who is not at all having an idea about that. See, even if you're not an architect, as I told you with the earlier example, there's a model created about a mall, about a temple, and it is kept there. So how do you actually, you are not an architect, you will not be visualizing in that perspective, because the architect's way of thinking will be different. But still with that model, you can identify, yes, this is how the temple would be, this is how the mall would be, first floor, these all will be available, because you get a better idea with the prototype, so that they can just satisfy the customer. By seeing the prototype, the customers will be knowing that, yes, this is what will be coming up in the future, right? So that is why we make a prototype model, so that they will have an idea, even though they don't have, experience or expertise in that field, still they get an idea. Got it? So again, we go with the same Scamper process. Scamper process already we have seen in the third step for idea. Here also you go for the Scamper technique. This is the Scamper of a cell phone. Before they decide, they make the phone, they do all the steps. I have elaborated all this already. So this is a model. Before creating an original phone, how do they do it? Then we go for the last step, which is testing. Testing. Can you mute yourself, please? So going for the testing again, as a IT person, you all will be knowing we go for different testing. Usability and implementation testing are more important. What is usability testing? Anybody? I just wanted to see whether you're interactive. My session should not make you more sleepy, right? Any idea about usability testing? Anybody can unmute and tell? All this time I was talking. I wanted the session to be a little interactive. Any idea about usability testing? Anybody? You can even put it in the chat. No idea? Are you all listening? Okay. So usability testing is after using. That means, again, I'll give you a simple idea about this. Two types of testing. So product testing, once you say, usability testing is what you are just trying to use that product. Whenever they launch something in the market, a soap or a soap powder, they just give a free sample. You must have experienced it. They just go to the doorstep. Nowadays, I don't know whether that practice is there or not. Very less. But still, if you have an experience about that, they will come and they will supply at your doorstep. They will tell, just use it for a week. And if you're satisfied, then you can buy the product. So that is usability testing. You're just going for a trial where you use, and if the customer is satisfied, they go for it. So that is coming with the product testing. So this is the testing where you're going to test the version. See, for projects and all, this is implementation testing. Usability, I told you. Implementation testing is what? You go for a project. Before going for the project, before the project is out in the market, before you sell your project, what do? You go for implementing it. Just give a sample data and test how that sample data works in your project. If the sample data is satisfied, then you go for original data to be tested, right? That is your usability testing and implementation testing. Now coming for the product testing, again, the product team will test. That is, before launching the original version of the product, pre-finalized version, that is last but one step. There they just try to check. They have a set of audience. With that audience, they will check with the sample and see what is their satisfaction level. Get the feedback and see how good is the feedback. Accordingly, they will go with the marketing before the product reaches to the final delivery stage. So that is your beta testing. Coming for the other method, as I told you, it is in-home usage testing. This is what I told you. So the product team will share a prototype or the final product with the customer. The customer, they will try to use it in their home for a certain period of time and they will give the feedback. Usability testing, which I told you, that comes under this in-home usage testing. All right. So this will be an agile structure where everybody will, it's not only you're targeting not only on one particular person. Any type of customer you just try and you ask them to test it by using it and then give their feedback. So that's about your testing process. So these are the steps. As we were talking about my mobile phones, I thought I would include this. So at Samsung, they go for different tests before the mobile comes out to the market. Durability test. What is the battery charge capacity? Visual inspecting test. Again, they will check whether the battery is a standard one or not. X-ray test, they will check whether the battery has some abnormal features or does it withstand the normal features. Charge discharge, how much of time the charge is retained in the mobile. Disassembling, they will just disassemble the battery and check whether the battery is of perfect quality or not. Usage test, they will just put it in a mobile, charge the mobile and see whether the mobile is getting charged properly or not. That is your usage test. So like that, different categories of testing will be done in Samsung, and that is how they finally leave out that mobile in the market for sales. That's about testing. See, we have seen about 5 steps. That is about creating, that is empathizing, then define, then idea, then prototype and testing. After doing all this, finally you have to, the last most step is going with the implementation plan. What is implementation plan? This is nothing but whenever you do a project, IT project, what do? You have to write the supporting documents. If you're just writing only the code and keeping it, it's of no use. You have the ERD, you have the DFD. You also have some documentation which will tell you what is the system features, where did you do it, all this. So the last step basically depends only upon the documentation. The supporting documentation will be really helpful, especially whenever you submit it to the higher ups. Only then that will really be a full-fledged one, because only with the code it will not speak out. Whatever high-class project it is, but still supporting documentation is very much essential and necessary. So what are the benefits of this implementation plan? It gives you more clarity to the work because of the documentation. People can understand what it is actually. They can keep in track. And also it gives you more cooperation for the work which you do. And also more number of people come for buying it in. Even the end user, even who doesn't have the knowledge about the IT, will be having certain idea over this. Right? So that's about implementation planning. Although it is a very simple step, but this is one of the essential steps in order to fulfill or to complete your project, your work in a satisfactory level. So that's the last step. So with that implementation, now what will be the final result? The final result will be you're giving a prototype. With the help of testing the prototype, customers will be getting a better idea. You're giving an understanding what you're going to achieve, and also you're going to give a product which will be more successful, and you're also giving some added-on features from which the consumers or the customers will be getting a better idea and go for that particular product, right? So this is about the overall feature of design thinking. I hope you all understood. Now I'm going with some activity. Can I have the attention of the students? This is really an interactive session. With the help of this particular activity, I'm going to tell you about the elements. We have already discussed about the elements. The steps I have told you. So coming for the elements. Now, you can see a picture of a coffee cup. Can anybody tell me, not anybody, one by one, you can just unmute and tell me. I don't want any group answers. So I just wanted you to tell, what is this cup used for? How will you use it? See, everybody will be having different idea. It's a coffee cup. You will say that I use it for drinking coffee. Of course, everybody does that. But apart from that, what ideas generate in your mind? Can you please come up with your answer? I will try to write it down and I will see how your ideas are generated. Can I get the answers, please? Students?
Ma'am,
Yes, Bavadarani.
ma'am, presenting the gift to the someone persons, ma'am. Presentation, ma'am.
Very
Gift.
good. Next. The same person also can give 2-3 ideas if the ideas are generating. Anybody else? Apart from that, coffee cup, I told you, it's for coffee. Any other
Girls,
idea?
unmute and talk, ma.
Pardon?
Nothing, ma'am. Girls, unmute and tell your decision, ma. Tell your ideas.
Yeah, Nurul has raised the hand, I guess. Right?
You can type your ideas in chat box also.
Yes, you can
Girls,
chat. You can put it in the chat. I can see.
If you're not able to speak, you can type your ideas.
Yeah.
No one has typed. Girls,
I want to answer from your end because we were talking about generating of ideas, right?
yes, Jivita.
I will see who is giving the more relevant and prompt answer. Okay, growing plant. Good. Yes. You must have seen cup in different, when you visit your friend's house or somebody's house, you must have seen how they are using it. Whatever idea pops up in your mind, please. I got 2 answers. For what else you will use this cup? Because we are going, from this, I'm going to tell you about the elements. Art and craft work, very good. I'm seeing how, ideas regenerate. Okay, I'm just writing it down. What else? I expect more and more answers, please.
What about others, ma? Girls.
Okay. You can put the photo. Fine. Come on,
For
try out
decorating
for decorating
kitchen.
kitchen. Okay. This I did not expect.
Home decoration.
Okay. Mug cake. Oh. Good. I think you're well versed in making a mug cake, I guess.
Flower cases.
Okay. Flowers you can use. Very good. Anybody else?
For putting pens.
Yes.
Pen stand.
That's what. That's what I was expecting. I was expecting that as the first answer. What else? Upcycle your mug into a candle holder. Okay.
Chalk piece stand.
Fine. Anybody else wants to answer, or I will finish this? Somebody has sketch stand. Okay. Normal answers, whatever I was expecting is coming up. In my house, I'm using it as a remote holder. Wow, very good. Okay. Now, from this, what do you understand? See, I told you creating ideas. Now, coming for the elements, basically the elements are nothing but fluency. I will just see what is the fluency, storing sugar salts, etc. Yes. Open cup, you will store sugar. Ant will not come. Flies will not come. Okay. Okay. Coming for the elements, basically, what is the fluency? That is what fluency you've got over that object. When I showed an object, what was your fluency? That was measured. Next is flexibility. Again, coming for flexibility, you gave me so many points. From that, which is more flexible? Now, I think, see, whenever you think of a cup, what was coming into your mind? Yes, I can drink coffee or tea. That was the first. Then you were thinking it as a stand. That was your second level, right? So what is the fluency of that? What is the flexibility? How would you elaborate it? Again, you're trying to expand your idea. You're elaborating and you're thinking beyond your level. Thinking that what all I could do in that. You're trying to create more and more ideas. Uniqueness. Once 2-3 people answered, you think that I should not say the same thing. I should not even say something relevant or similar to that. I should come up with a completely different one. So that shows your uniqueness, because I will estimate, or the speaker will be knowing how they think in a different perspective and developing a creative attitude. What all I could do in that, you were immediately thinking, right? So that is how we think on seeing any particular object. This is again a design thinking. We were talking about product, project, all these things in a very higher level. But now with a simple, an object, you are able to do all this. So these are the elements of design thinking. Just to find out what is your idea and to learn about the elements, I made this activity. So the elements are nothing but fluency that was there in this activity, flexibility, elaboration, you were trying to elaborate, uniqueness, of course, yes. And then you try to develop a creative attitude. Yes, I must come up with something different. So that is how the elements of creative thinking goes on, right? Now, I'm going to give one other activity, which is telling you about the techniques of design thinking. Again, I want more answers for this. You're able to see a bag here, a backpack. With this backpack, I just wanted you to tell how you can improvise it, how this bag could be more useful. Earlier, we were just thinking only on how you can use it. Here, how you can make it more improvised, how you can be making it more useful. I think everybody must have seen this bag. You need not even think of the picture. Just to get an idea, I just posted this picture. I just wanted to ask you how you can change this to make it more useful. Of course, it is for traveling purpose. That is the basic idea behind that. Yes, for traveling. And just expecting what other improvements could be done. We can fit GPS for safety purpose. Well done. Of course, we need GPS everywhere nowadays. Excellent. What else? We can use laptop bags. Whenever we see a bag nowadays, we take it with a laptop in that only. We don't use it for books because nobody is using a book now. All are having laptop only to study, not like our days. Okay. I asked you not only the purpose, I asked you what other improvements can be done, how it could be improvised to make it a better one, to make it more useful. I think more girls are there. I'm expecting something from girls, which is very simple, but which will be more attractive and eye-catchy. It was waterproof. Okay. So you need not use a raincoat. for the bag. Only for you, you can use the raincoat. Bag will be safe if it's waterproof. Okay, fine. That's good. Please come up with more answers. Come on. What else? With this, I'm going to tell you the techniques. As I told you the elements, now I'm going to tell you about the techniques. I welcome more answers, please.